Hey, it's Joe Amoya, creator of GPSforlove.com. We recently ran a poll of all of the members of our GPS for Love community, and it was really interesting because we got back a ton of responses, almost 200. And within these 200 responses, there was a general theme, and it was ultimately those 200 questions came down to about a dozen questions that everybody had. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be taking some of these questions and addressing them in these blogs. So the number one overwhelming response, the number one question that almost everybody had is, why do men come on strong, say all the right things, do all the right things, and then disappear, often without a trace? And you know what? The interesting thing about this is that this doesn't only happen to you women, it also happens to men. I remember a time in my life where I was single and I was dating this girl, and we went on a couple dates and everything was going great. I'd even met her parents. And she said, "Oh, my parents love you. You know what? Compared to all the other guys I've dated, you're really a great guy." And I was like, "Cool, sounds like this might have some potential." And then we were supposed to go out, and she completely blew me off. And I just didn't get it. I was like, WTF? I don't understand. Why tell me all these great things and then completely blow me off? And so I remember getting to the point in my life where, you know what, this is bullshit. I said, this is crap. If you don't want to be with me, I was the type, if you don't want to be with me, just tell me. Yeah, my ego might get a little hurt. It might sting. I might get a little disappointed, but at least I know the truth. And that's kind of what the members of our community are looking for. Like, just be honest. Just tell me the truth. But unfortunately, not everybody in life can tell the truth. So what I decided to do is put a little video together for you today to help you understand, if this happens, if you're dating a guy and all of a sudden his behavior changes, or you're dating and he disappears, or you've been involved with him for a little while and then he mentally checks out or physically checks out, there's always, always, always a reason. And it comes down to three things. Okay. And that's what you're going to learn about today. So the first one, for a lot of these guys, it's simply about the chase. It's about the excitement. It's about the anticipation of, can I get this girl? Can I get this woman? And you know what, ladies? Let's be honest, you do it too. These are all those hot guys who are amazing, who have great chemistry, who are really sexy, and then you get them, and then you realize a lot of times, oh, he's a jerk. There's no way I could be in a relationship with him. So I just want you to realize is that for a lot of these guys, whether you like it or not, it's about the chase. And very often that chase is about whether or not they can get in your pants. So you just got to realize it is what it is. And you could either fight it and say it shouldn't be like that, or just accept that there are boys out there and there are men. And that's the purpose of dating. And we'll talk about that in a second. The second reason is that these guys disappear is very often they realize that you're not the one. Now, unfortunately, this is another situation where guys will lie and they'll say, "Oh, it's not me. It's not you. It's me. I've got stuff I've got to work on." And then what happens? You see that guy 6 months later, he's with somebody else, or a year later, you find out he's engaged or married to somebody else. And so the second reason that this happens is the guy has realized that you're not what he's looking for. Now, I know that might be a little bruised to your ego, but you just realize is that you can't be everything to every guy out there, and that there's a guy out there that you will be right for. My wife often shares with me there are a lot of guys, because she was the kind of girl that you take home to mom. She's just a good person, and a lot of guys knew that they weren't going to get in her pants right away, and so they knew that it was going to be a lot of work, and a lot of guys just didn't want to invest that time and energy because they could go find other women who put out real quick. So because my wife was that kind of girl, she knew that there were guys who wouldn't put up with that. And so they would often say to her, "You know what, you're not the right one for me." And she would share, that her ego would get bruised, which is perfectly understandable. But when I came along, that she was the right girl for me. And so I didn't mind investing the time and energy to get to know her, to see if she was exactly the woman that I was looking for. So when a guy says, another reason that he disappears is because you're simply not the right one for him. And as difficult as it may appear, you just got to learn not to take it personal. And I know that's easier said than done, because we've all got egos. We all don't like to be rejected. But the quicker you learn not to take it personal and go, next, there's somebody better out there for me, the easier it will be for you to move on and find the guy you're ultimately looking for. And the third reason that guys tend to disappear or check out physically or emotionally, and this is the one that I really hope you understand. And this is that because the guy's got his stuff. Okay. What do I mean by that? Well, he's got some issues. There are some deep lying unconscious beliefs, unconscious fears, unconscious issues, which he's never really addressed, and he's usually not even aware of. So instead of the guy saying, I'm uncomfortable, I don't feel right, there's something going on and I don't know what it is, what most of us do when we get uncomfortable is we run because it's a lot easier to avoid things than to deal with them. And very often we know that there's stuff there, but we just avoid it because it's a lot easier. And so my philosophy is if there's stuff there, isn't it better to just meet it, deal with it head on and get past it and get through it? Because here's the thing, whether you've got stuff or not, or if you do have stuff, let me apologize, is that it's going to be there. Okay? And you can't run from it. It's always going to track you down until you finally face it. So just deal with it and realize that if a guy's not dealing with it, it's going to be really hard to have a relationship with him. No matter how much you love him, no matter how much you say and do all the right things, no matter how much you sacrifice to make him happy and make the relationships work, if he's got some deep-seated underlying unconscious stuff going on, it's never going to lead to the kind of relationship that you really want. And that, again, that might be he's afraid of getting hurt, whatever it is he's got trust issues. And this is very common. A lot of the members of our community are over 40 and have been divorced. And pay attention because we've got something really cool on the horizon just for you. But until then, realize that a lot of these guys have been burned. Okay, they've lost a lot of what they've worked for. And I'm not justifying that. I'm just helping you to understand why they feel the way they do. Is because they're looking, they're at that point in life where they've been there, done that. They've had their kids, they've had their family. And in their world, it doesn't turn out well. So why are they going to take that risk again? I would say it's a lot like having a really bad case of food poisoning that puts you in the hospital. You'd be really conscious of going back to that restaurant and ordering the same dish again. Again, I'm not justifying, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just trying to help you understand why this goes on. So these are the 3 reasons that men tend to disappear. Now, I'm going to give you some things because it's all about action, because knowing this stuff is cool, but what do you do about it? So I'm going to give you 3 things that will actually help you and give you a better chance of protecting yourself so you can create the results that you're really looking for with a guy who doesn't have stuff. Well, let's say so we've all got stuff, but whose stuff won't interfere with you having the kind of relationship that you're really looking for. So the first thing is you've got to learn to date. And in dating, you have to almost expect this stuff. I remember when I first met my wife, because again, this happens on both sides. Happened to me a lot. I invested a lot of my time and energy on women, and then their stuff came up where they disappeared or they weren't who I thought they were. So I remember as I was dating my wife, sitting back going, okay, let's see. Is she going to be one of these, people with stuff? It's just a matter of time. Everything always starts off great, and then usually the shit hits the fan. So I was sitting back, I was waiting, and I remember, 3 months, pretty cool. 6 months, pretty cool. 9 months, wow, didn't show up. And, after a year, I was like, wow, I think this is the one. Or actually, I knew because I had my checklist for love. So this is why you date. You date because you want a guy to show you, does he have stuff? Is he going to run? And that kind of leads us to the second step, is that you've got to observe his actions. Do his actions back up his words? See, a guy will tell you everything you want to hear. And very often a guy's telling you this stuff because that's what he wants to believe. But unconsciously, because there's stuff there, it will cause him to act and do things a certain way. 96 to 98% of everything we think, say, and more importantly, that we do, originates from our unconscious mind. So if a guy's got some stuff there, it's going to show up in the things that he does. And so if a guy isn't consistently giving you the things that you're looking for, the things that you need, and you're not consistently happy and fulfilled, that's a sign from the universe that he's probably not the right guy for you. And the last thing, the last action step that you can take is you want to observe his relationships, all of them. See, a guy who's healthy and who is emotionally available and who's ready to commit to a relationship has good, healthy relationships around him. And that goes from his family members, that goes to his friends, it goes to his coworkers. Because in order to have a healthy and fulfilling relationship, you need to be able to be vulnerable. You need to be able to communicate. You need to show up as your true self. And so guys who have relationship issues be it with their family members, with their friends, where they're always right, everybody's always wrong. Those are the telltale signs that these guys are going to ultimately do the same thing to you. They're going to check out on you. So now I'm not saying that, a guy may come from a toxic family where he's realized that, what, those people are toxic for me and I deserve better. And so I simply remove them out of my life. But yet what he does is he has healthy relationship with his friends, with his coworkers, with his colleagues, with his college roommates, whoever it may be. So these are the things that you want to observe. Now, I know I threw a lot at you today, but the reason I did that is because this is a really, really important topic. That's why I chose this question first, is because you've got to realize that there are guys out there who are going to disappear, who are going to say and do all the right things in the beginning, who are going to tell you what you want to hear, who are going to say they have no commitment issues. And then once they get you, they do the about face, they turn into Mr. Hyde, and they disappear. And again, this is why you date, but more importantly, this is why you've really got to wait a while before jumping into bed with a guy. Because once you go there, especially for women, it's a very emotional experience. The oxytocin and the estrogen levels go through the roof, and you tend to miss all the red flags, which are going to be there anyway. So I know I threw a lot at you today, and I really recommend that you go back and watch this over again. And if you know someone who's having a hard time, who's maybe going through this with a guy in her life, or is having trouble understanding, why do guys do this? Do me a favor and forward this to her, because I understand it may be complicated and it may appear that way. But once you understand how this whole thing works, once you crack the code, it really isn't as difficult as it appears. It's just learning how to keep your eyes and ears open, getting clear on who you are, being the person you need to be, and then finding and attracting the kind of person who will give you the relationship that you're looking for. And when a person shows up who isn't that person, learning to cut your losses and walk away quickly. As always, it's an honor and privilege to be with you. We'll see you next time. Much love.